Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for stopping by. My name is Sonia from Nina's Crafty Life. In today's video, I'll be using printable heat transfer vinyl to make some custom sweatshirts. I've always wanted to try this, so let's get started. I purchased my printable HTV sheets from Expressions Vinyl. They are 8.5 by 11 and love that these printed instructions were included. I bought a couple sheets so that I could experiment and give you the best tips from my personal experience. Some additional things you'll need are an inkjet printer to print out your image. I used an Epson ET4760, a heat press or an iron. I used my Cricut Easy Press, a sheet of parchment paper. Expressions Vinyls sells a Caesar brand reusable 12 by 20 inch sheet for around 80 cents and it works perfectly. Lastly, you'll need a way to cut out your image. You can use a pair of scissors or a cutting machine like a Cricut or Cameo. For this project, I used my Cricut Maker. The first step is to print your image out. I've already set mine up in Cricut Design Space. Make sure that you don't mirror your image for this HTV. The instructions provided do not specify whether to add a bleed to your image, so my guess is that it is a personal choice. Make sure you feed your sheets one at a time into your printer and that it is set to normal paper. After you print your image, the instructions say to let it dry for about 5 minutes before transferring. I let mine dry for about 10 minutes just to be safe before placing it on my mat to cut out. After my image printed, I wasn't too impressed with the color quality, so I decided to reprint, and this time I changed the print setting to best and I removed the bleed. As you can see, it made a huge difference. On the left is the normal print, and on the right is the best print setting. I used my light grip mat to load this into my machine and cut it out. For the base material, I chose 20-pound copy paper. After I cut out, I noticed the star wheels on the Cricut damaged my image. As you can see, it left drag marks and the ink was easily smudged even though I let this dry for about an hour. I also didn't like that the backing did not cut all the way through. Technically, it wasn't supposed to, but if you're anything like me, I like physically placing my design on my material to visualize how it will look before committing to a spot. And since the material is really thin and delicate, it makes it easier if the backing is still attached. Of course, if you do this, remember to remove the backing before transferring your image. The troubleshooting instructions mention reducing the ink saturation by 10 to 15% if your image continues to bleed. This could have possibly fixed my issue with the smudged ink. I also noticed my cut lines were not very good. They were jagged and cut my image incorrectly. I knew my trusty Cricut machine could do better, so I calibrated my machine and replaced the blade before trying again. For my last attempt, I made sure to move the star wheels on the Cricut all the way to the right, and for the base material, I selected light cardstock to ensure that it would cut through the backing. Now to apply it, I inserted my heat-resistant mat in between my sweatshirt and used a lint roller to remove any unwanted lint. The instructions recommend preheating your fabric for about 3 to 5 seconds. Again, I did this with my Cricut Easy Press. Then I removed the backing from my image and placed it on my sweater facing up, just like so. Then, taking my parchment paper, I put that over my image and pressed it at 360 degrees for about 15 seconds, making sure to apply lots of pressure. The recommended heat setting is 374 degrees for 12 seconds, but since my Easy Press is an older model, the max heat is 360, but it still worked great. Remember, you could also use a household iron for this step. After you heat press your image, wait a minute before removing the parchment paper. Once it cooled, I checked to make sure that all the edges were securely attached. If you happen to miss a spot, replace the parchment paper and press again for about a minute. And here is a look at the final product. I'm actually very impressed with the results. I think this looks great considering it was my first time working with printable heat transfer vinyl. It was very easy once I got the hang of it, and I hope that my tips will help you. I'll make sure to link the exact sheets I purchased down below. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and of course I would love it if you subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.